Well, shooters and reloaders out there, it's Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the hot lead zone. And it's like this. These days when you run a shooting channel, or especially if you got even a little bit of reloading stuff that might be construed in there, you feel a disturbance in the force. This disturbance is out there. And it's like, is there a sword hanging over our head ready to lop our channel down, strike our channel down, and this kind of thing? I might be gone in a flash, because this has happened to other channels. So I've got to let you know where I am. So if you find out that this channel's gone someday, just gone, then you can find me on Vimeo or Patreon. Vimeo is where I have all my reloading videos, and I'll be uploading everything over there, so it'll be like a duplicate site from YouTube in case I get struck down here. But anyway, our video today is on this rifle. And what we have here is a Thompson Center Encore that has the 24-inch 4570 barrel. That's the blue version, slimmer barrel, and because of that, it's a lighter rifle. Without the scope and without the sling, this rifle weighs 6 pounds, which is a lightweight. That's fine for hunting where you only fire 1 or 2 shots, but if you're going to shoot more than that, it can be a little bruiser on the shoulder, even with this nice stock with the recoil system that Thompson Center provides for us. But with the scope and the sling, you got a 7.5 pound rifle. That's not as bad. Well, let's look at the ammo that we shoot. And this is a 4570 round with a 405 grain bullet, and you're looking at 1700 feet per second. This is a pretty powerful load actually, and if you shoot a lot of these, your shoulder is going to tell you all about it. So what I did was I created a new cartridge. Now you've probably heard about the 4560, not the 4570, but the 4560, which is actually a pretty good round all to itself. And what I've proposed to do is go one step farther and create a 4555, which is a little bit less than 1/10 of an inch shorter case than the 4560. But with this, we went to the range, and the idea of the 4555 is that we can shoot powder-coated bullets, which have a little more velocity and a little more pressure than a bullet that is not powder-coated. So thereby, we go with a little bit shorter than the 4560, and because we're shorter by about 0.09 inches, that's about 5 grains of black powder. So call it the 4555. I would name this cartridge a 4555 Dabo, because when you score on game with the 4555 and the game is taken nicely, you go ahead and say Dabo, because that's like success. That's like win. Now, as most of you know, with the 4570, you can load this cartridge. This one happens to be 1700 feet per second with a 405 grain bullet. But with some powders, you can stretch this to 2000 feet per second. But that's really a bruiser in recoil. Now, with the 4555 Dabo round, you can use the 405 grain powder coated bullet and probably get 1400 feet per second without too much trouble. Here's the 4570 case. It's 2.105 inches long, and here's our 4555 Dabo case, and it measures 1.800. Makes a rather compact round, And the advantage of this is that you have more efficient burn of the powder space, which can be much more efficient in terms of powder usage. Now, of course, doesn't have the upper end in power, but for the lower velocities, this works real well. Even 1300 feet per second with that bullet is easily achieved. So before we go on any farther, some comments about safety here are appropriate. Now notice that we're lowballing the 4570 by going to the 4555. We're not trying to shorten the case and then try and make this perform the same as that, because you can't do it without having dangerous pressure. So lowballing is the whole idea. We're looking for less performance, less pressure, and more fun shooting, and yet still maintain effectiveness. My starting load is 15 grains of unique and a 405 grain cast bullet, and we're using powder coated because that's going to give us better performance, but also easy recognition that this should not be used in older guns. Because older guns like trapdoor Springfields are very weak and may not be able to stand even this kind of pressure. So if any of you out there want to lowball the 4570 by going to the 4555 Dabo or other, like the 4560 or this kind of thing, then that's all up to you to look at your own situation, keeping your ammunition properly labeled, and not using someone else's reloads. All of these things will apply. And starting low with powder charges and working up carefully, watching out for pressure signs. These are our standard safety reloading practices and should all be applied here. And that's especially because we don't have any loading data for this round, the 45-55 Dabo, or whatever you want to call it. Just found out that in the Midwest, the hunting laws require shorter cases, so that the shortening of the 4570 has already been done in other areas and just hasn't been really published. So that means designating this cartridge here, the 45-55 Dabo, might be valid. Or just simply call it the 45-55 or anything you want to call it. And as a more gentleman's 45 caliber heavy bullet load, this makes a lot of sense. Now, we just got back from the range testing the 45-55 Dabo. You might want to mosey over to the Patreon site. The link is below, and that video is actually for anyone to see. Don't have to be a patron or a member of the Patreon site to see that video. So I invite you to go over there and check that out. Bye for now.